Remember these?
Greetings, young Portal Master.
Greetings, Portal Master. I am Eon, and it is so very good to see you again. Welcome back to Skylands, an ancient world of wonder and adventure, protected by the greatest warriors of all, the Skylanders. For generations, the Portal Masters and the Skylanders kept peace and balance in this world, so that all creatures might thrive. Together with your Skylanders, you have saved these worlds from the clutches of darkness time and time again, and we are forever in your debt. What awaits you next on your grand adventure, I wonder?
I have a soft spot for Skylanders. It was something that was like genuinely magical back in the day. Probably less so for my mum and dad's wallets, but dude, the way this series captured my imagination was kind of a core memory for me. One of my favorite movies as a kid was Toy Story. The idea that toys were alive and had thoughts and feelings was crazy. Throughout my youth, I carried that idea and mindset with me, and thanks to the power of childlike wonder, often found myself imagining what my toys were up to while I wasn't around. So imagine my surprise when I see these ads on TV for a game called Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. The concept of taking toys and bringing them to life in a video game was like everything I had ever wanted. I got my starter pack in early 2012, I think, for the Xbox 360, which I don't have anymore, so the footage you're about to see is from my Wii version, which I got at some point. Skylanders Spyro's Adventure was a magical experience for a kid like me. I was 10 when I played this, so my biggest problem in life was not being able to get the Sonic Generations Collector's Edition. This was, I know this term gets thrown around a lot, but mind-blowing. Now, say it with me, everyone. I played this game as a kid, and therefore it is exempt from criticism. The story was simple enough to understand. A mystical core of light that had been keeping a malevolent force named the Darkness at bay was attacked by Invader Zim, Chaos, banishing the Skylanders to Earth, where they lost the ability to move, but gained the ability to fuel consumerism. They turned into toys, and together with the Portal of Power, the young Portal Master, that's you, the player, is able to send the Skylanders back home by doing this.
Adventure calls.
I cannot put into words just how magical this was as a kid. I know how the tech works, and like, yeah, okay, it's just an NFC reader that reads and writes to the NFC tags and the figures, but I was so cool. Now, I know. This game was not friendly on the wallet. It was geared towards kids and collectors who wanted the shiny things and weren't afraid to spend their or their parents' money to get it. I didn't have a lot of figures back in the day. Instead, I was strategically optimizing my pocket money to allow for one Skylander of every element. Yeah, that's another thing. Skylanders had elements, and you needed one of every one if you wanted to experience the whole game. But we did it. I think my OG roster was Spyro, Trigger Happy, Gilgrunt, because duh. Prison Break, Cinder, Zook, Lightning Rod, and Sunburn. And you know, these guys were enough to beat the game with, but my grandma did also get me Zap, and that guy's so cool. Look at him. Over the next year, on special events or when I'd have some spare pocket money, I'd slowly build up my collection. I never really wanted a complete set. I was just picking up the guys I thought were cool. There were two that I really wanted, but never got. Dark Spyro and Legendary Spyro. I mean, come on, man. Say what you will about Spyro's design in this series, but I was a kid, I didn't know any better, and I thought his variants were sick as f***. It's a shame those figures never made their way into my collection. Such a shame. But oh well. Plus, for a game aimed at a younger audience, the production value was crazy. A stacked voice cast featuring Patrick Warburton and Richard Horvitz, Joe Swanson and Invader Zim, alongside CGI cutscenes that look straight out of an animated movie, and a fully orchestrated soundtrack with a main theme by Hans Zimmer of all fucking people that made the game feel way bigger than it had any right to be. Now here's another cool thing. Not only does your character appear in the game when you scan their figure, but all the progress you make with that character saves back to it. So in the event of going to a friend's house or, I don't know, a sequel, you can play co-op or get street cred in the battle mode with your very own Skylanders collection and... Sorry, a sequel? Skylanders Giants was released in October of 2012, or November if you're a Wii U owner, to no one's surprise. Wanting to correct my mistake of missing out on Dark Spyro due to not getting the 3DS version of Spyro's Adventure, I opted for the 3DS version of Giants, featuring Treerex, a Series 2 variant of Cinder, and Punch Popfizz, a red recolor of the standard blue guy. This was the dude I wanted. Yeah, I know, I thought the Series 2 Skylanders were a weird move too, but I mean, I shouldn't even have to say it.
I played this game as a kid and had all it is exempt from criticism.
Skylanders Giants was the first entry in the series to have a gimmick, or a kinda sorta thinly veiled justification for why you should pick this game up over the previous one and dump a bunch of money into it. Giants! They're big now. As a kid, I didn't really understand why they leaned so heavily into these new guys when you had a whole cast of characters from the first game. There's like some lore stuff, but they were largely the same as regular Skylanders outside of being bigger, stronger, having more health, having larger figures that glow when you put them on a portal, and therefore a higher price tag. Also, the 3DS version was a completely different game to its console counterparts. Same goes for the other games in the series. Most entries on the 3DS are like an action platformer, while the console versions are more of a beat-em-up adventure sort of thing. So after working that out, I picked up the Portal Owners Pack for console, which featured just the game and the new pack in Giant, Tree Rex. Even though I just jumped on the Skylanders train, I could feel the magic starting to fade. The figures were more expensive for a kid, the game itself was shorter, and it just didn't grab me as much as Spyro's Adventure did. But make no mistake though, I still liked Giants. And the time I spent with it. The story in this one is more of a road trip. Chaos is back. We banished him to Earth in the last one, and I thought it was a shame to not have a Chaos figure. Such a shame. But, oh well. The TLDR of this game's story is you and Flynn are racing against Chaos to find an ancient city with a MacGuffin in it. Adventures ensue, the game throws some flashy visuals at you, the soundtrack still slaps, and generally the quality is upped across the board. It was a solid sequel. But was it worth buying all of the figures for? Not really. If you already had one Skylander from each of the elements from the previous game, you only needed one Giant to access all of the stuff that your other guys couldn't. I know I personally never picked up another Giant until I was much older because I genuinely did not see the need to. But that didn't stop others, because in February of 2013, Mr. Activision announced that Skylanders as a franchise had surpassed $1 billion in revenue, and later that year they dropped Skylanders Swap Force, made by a different developer with a totally wild gimmick. You could jump. Also, I guess the gimmick characters could swap top and bottom halves, but look, jump button! You know what they say, guys?
I played this game as a kid.
This one's... I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't at all interested in Swap Force. They tried something new as well with a Dark Edition starter pack, and that almost won me over, but I really wasn't a fan of the big horns on Spyro's figure in this game, so I didn't pick it up. And that was the end of my journey with Skylanders. I'm just kidding, I got it a little later. In 2014, I got a Wii U, and it was a bundle that came with Skylanders Swap Force. It had an exclusive washbuckler, and I didn't get it specifically for Swap Force or that figure. The actual game I wanted the Wii U for is a little more embarrassing in hindsight, but still I gave it a red hot go. It wasn't for me. I don't know if it was a case of me moving on to other things, or not wanting to commit to buying a bunch more figures, or just straight up not being in the target demographic anymore, but I made it through, I think, 3 levels before calling it quits entirely. And that was kind of the end of my time with Skylanders and Toys to Life in general. I never got into Disney Infinity, and I played LEGO Dimensions exclusively for the Sonic level and then sold it. The genre slowly fizzled out too, with the big 3 all sorta just vanishing, including Skylanders. It had its last entry in 2017, and while Spyro continued with the Reignited trilogy, it seemed like the era of Skylanders was over. If you ask me, I think it's literally just a case of people got tired of buying tons and tons of figures at full price only to have to buy more the following year, and more the following year, so on and so forth. Add on the other franchises on top of that, and you've got a one-way ticket to irrelevancy. I mean, it's not like games these days have those crazy monetization strategies. Huh! But strangely, something kept me holding on to the figures. I was notorious for selling or trading in my stuff back in the day, including my original Wii U. But my Skylanders stayed with me, for some reason or another, year after year after year. And one day, the portal of power called to me. The year was 2022. I was in my final year of uni, about to start the final project of my degree, when for whatever reason, the only thing I wanted to do was play Skylanders. I dug out my old copy of Spyro's Adventure that I had lying around. In the time since, I'd picked up another Wii U, so I got a copy of Giants for that. I found a guy selling PS4 copies of Swap Force through Imaginators, so I grabbed them, along with more and more figures, and I started hunting around at local game stores. I built up a pretty decent collection of little guys, including Bowser and Donkey Kong. What the fuck? And when it came time to sit down and binge through the entire series, I got hit with a nasty case of COVID. Yeah, I know I was a couple years late to the party, But I had all the time in the world. It was like I was a kid again. I binged through the games. Spyro's Adventure, cleared. Giants, cleared. Swap Force, cleared. Trap Team, cleared. Superchargers, cleared. Imaginators, I didn't finish Imaginators. I'm sorry, there was a huge tonal shift and I didn't really gel with it. I've got it though, and a whole boatload of figures, so I will get around to it. Eventually. Obviously, Spyro's Adventure and Giants were super nostalgic romps through some pretty formative games from my childhood. I even played the 3DS versions of both, but Swap Force onwards was like a whole new experience, and I don't know if it was COVID or the dopamine rush from the hyperfixation, but they kind of held up. Swap Force's gimmick of interchangeable tops and bottoms of characters was crazy to me, and gave me a similar feeling to when I first put Spyro on the portal all those years ago. They just worked. Trap Team, I didn't really care for the gimmick of trapping bosses, but I did like the general gameplay and story. Superchargers, I could take or leave the cars, but I liked how the stories was a smidge more serious. And yeah, I didn't really get too into Imaginators. I will though, I will. One day. I think I'll always have a soft spot for Skylanders. Even though the series is long gone, and another entry just wouldn't make sense in today's gaming landscape, I think Skylanders had something special. Because here's the thing, despite it all, these games held up because of what they represented. Yeah, capitalism, consumerism, whatever, but the main thing for me was imagination. Even revisiting the series as an adult, I still think that the first moment of you placing a real, tangible figure on the portal, hearing that sound, and bringing that toy to life is nothing short of magical.
It has been an honor, Portal Master. My, how you've grown. Go forth in confidence, knowing that no matter what you do, no matter where you go, the magic of Skylands will be with you always on your journey through life. The Skylanders and I will be eagerly awaiting your return when you are ready. Your adventure with the Skylanders is only just beginning. And play Imaginators, for God's sake!